Lisette is a flower girl. Her title in the script was Lisette the Flower Girl, and I was always walking around the set feeling very sheepish because I feel like I'm way too long in the tooth to be any kind of flower girl. A flower lady, I like to think of her as, who is, sells the flowers on the railway station and brings a bit of colour and light to the otherwise grey and imposing bustle of everyday life on the station, and she becomes a sort of catalyst for the for Sacha Baron Cohen's character to come to life again after I think being broken by really what turns out to be the effects of the First World War. And there's a moment in the scene between me and Sacha where I mention my brother who was killed in the war, and you suddenly realize that that's the backdrop to the whole movie, that this devastating First World War, which just had such a horrible impact on the whole of Europe, has either indirectly or directly affected pretty much all of the characters in the film, and that that's what she and Sacha, despite having very little seemingly in common, have in common, this sort of shared grief. He's obviously undergoing some sort of post-traumatic shock as a result of his time in the trenches, and her just entering his life and having his sweet human contact with him starts to redeem him as a character. First of all, I'd worked with Scorsese before on Shutter Island, and it was one of the best experiences of my life as an actor. I came away from that film thinking, I don't care if a second of this doesn't make it into the movie. I will value that and treasure that time that I had on that set for the rest of my life, and I'll never forget it. And it's not just because it's great to say that you were in a Scorsese film, it's because being around him is such an education apart from anything else. He's obsessed by films. Everybody knows that. He's obsessed by the history of films, and that's his inspiration, and it's his enthusiasm that's just so palpable, and it's what makes him great at what he does, his enthusiasm for other people's films. He's a very outward-looking kind of genius. It's not about his own ego or his obsession with himself. His movies are all about his delight in other people's films, and you get the feeling that he can't get over the fact that he's on a set, being allowed to make a shot like Hitchcock did, or make a shot like Fritz Lang did, or whoever it is at that moment. So being around him is a total education and treat and honor and privilege, and so I knew that was going to be amazing. But then I already knew the book. I knew the book of Hugo, The Invention of Hugo Cabret, the Brian Selznick novel, which my little boy had read at school, and I was enchanted by that book, as everybody is who reads it, and knowing the subject matter, it was like, this is just too perfect. The combination of Scorsese making this film and using 3D technology, where he's pushing the boundaries of what it is to make a movie in 2010, at the same time as making a film about the very first technology that was ever used to put magic onto a movie screen. There was just something too perfect about that, and it made the whole thing feel incredibly special and like something that, you'd be crazy not to want to be a part of.